Welcome, survivor veterans of State of Decay 2. This is your boy, Kung Drex's Prime, coming at you with reviewing the 5 to 6 big things promised in 2021. So, we're going to start this off by saying this is going to be a different style of video. I want to introduce my boy and slash wingman, Bunndee Games. Bunndee, what's up, man?
Hey, you slightly changed your intro.
Hey, man, gotta evolve, man. Gotta get a little,
Gotta keep it fresh, huh?
gotta keep it
I
fresh,
got
man.
you.
Gotta keep them on
I
their
got
toes.
you. Welcome back, State of the K2 survivors.
Hey, man.
Yeah, man, let's do this.
You gotta always throw that shade in every video. You can't skip out one video. All right, so
Isn't
what are
that,
we gonna be?
isn't that why
What,
you invited me though?
I know,
Come on.
man. Hey, man. You gotta keep it fresh, man. I gotta get somebody to always keep you on my toes. That's what you're here for. Um,
Yeah.
all right, man. So since you're keeping me firmly planted, what we're gonna talk about today are the 5 to 6 big things that were promised, and one of the things that most people probably overlook is going to be the PTR public test realm server, which uh, kind of saved on their lives in this last
AKA the beta.
the beta, yeah, for Steam. That kind of saved on their lives behind in this last update, but we can talk about that a little bit if you want, Bunny. So I'll let you kick it off.
The other thing I want to bring up too, for people that may or may not know, this video kind of came about because of your that 3-part series that you did.
Oh
For the
man,
people that don't know, they can go back and watch that.
yeah,
And that 3-part series was in reference to a comment made in the first stream, I believe, Undead Labs did
in January, yeah,
in 2021. And the product manager, I believe that's his title, Henry, I believe his name was, he stated that there were 5 to 6 big things coming in 2021. So that's what this is in reference to.
yep. What's a That's a good footnote. I appreciate that, brother.
Oh yeah,
So the public test realm uh, was actually used in the past for lethal, right? Remember that, Bunny?
right.
But it was kept under NDA. Nobody could know what they were testing. Blah blah blah. I didn't partake in that. But when they made it actually public, I actually partook in it, and that's when
Right.
the plague territories and all that stuff kicked off. And I guess we can talk about the things that we're going to talk about besides the PTR. It's going to be the plague territories was one of them. Outpost
Right.
upgrades was the second. Landmark outpost was the third. Weapon swapping, and the last but not least, update 26, which was Trumbull Valley homecoming. Those were the
Right.
5 to 6 big things that we came up with, right? Based on
Right.
what was released this year. So we're gonna dive. We'll take a little deeper dive and give it kind of like a kind of overview on what was released and how it was released and what we can expect for 2021. If we're gonna have a similar schedule or maybe not. I guess we can talk about that at the end of the
22.
video. 2022. That's what I mean. So anyway, let's start with the first thing that was released, which was Plague Territories. What were your thoughts on that, man?
I remember when that first came out, we had some people didn't really care for it. Not that many. I think it was a small portion of the community that didn't really care for it. Me, I thought it was okay, I guess, because it gave a little extra element it changed the way you approached outposts because you couldn't take an outpost, you couldn't take a base if it was in the plague territory. So it added a little extra element. It kind of changed the gameplay enough to keep it fresh. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was okay.
I think what it did for me was it actually gave the game structure. Like before, you know, like I remember I spoke to two friends of mine that started playing State of Decay 2, and they once they got over the little introduction of the game, they didn't know what the hell to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they had no idea. They're like, well, so what do we do now? What's the point? with the play territories, it gave you a clear definition of direction and kind of like where to point, where to go next. What's the thing that you have to
Right,
attack?
right,
So, I mean, in that respect, um, I think it gave the game direction. Now, some people didn't like that the game went on rails. I think that's where we had some problems, where some people wanted to play the game how they always played it for the previous 2.5 years,
right,
and the game was put on rails for them, so they became a railroad track because they have to kill a certain amount of plague hearts in order to be able to take those outposts or those resources that they need. So in that respect, I personally thought it was okay,
yeah,
and because I'm always looking at the game from where the game can benefit, not where I can benefit, where the game itself can
right,
benefit. You see what I'm saying? And giving people direction, and giving them a goal, an achievable goal, or at least pointing them in the right area to start will give the game more replayability, especially for people that don't know what to do next. You know what I mean? So in that
right,
respect,
right.
I was all for it. So I'm looking from it for what makes the game better, not necessarily what makes the game better for me. So,
Right.
um,
I'm gonna add something to that too, because you know how I'm always talking about artificial difficulty, right?
hmm
So what that did is that gave you another layer of difficulty without it being artificial. I thought it was implemented in an okay way, and instead of just would they just make the enemies harder and make your character weaker kind of thing. So
I agree.
yeah, it added another layer of difficulty without being, to use a word that I rarely use, cheesy.
Yes, I'm with you. 100% with that. It didn't feel artificial. It actually felt like an actual implemented, well thought of gaming mechanic. So whoever kind of put it out there, I know the reasons why they put it out there, but at the end of the day, it actually made the game better. I think long
Yeah.
term. So, all right. So we're gonna talk about. Well, I guess we can mash these together: the upgradable outpost, and the landmark outpost. We can kind of put those
Yeah.
together because they're kind of very similar, and I think, in my opinion, I'll lead this one off. The upgradable outpost is a good start. I think them the way they were before were just kind of like just a place for you to drop your equipment in, and that's it.
Right.
And be able to load in characters, and load in and load out characters. Other than that, they serve no other purpose. Now you can strategize with them a little bit. Now I kind of hope that in 2022 they can take it to another level where these outposts are more useful in a sense where you can do more with them, even if it costs you one or two people, like, for them to operate them, you know what I mean, or to add extra
Right.
bonuses, but make it within a balanced state. I don't want the game to get off balance, but making outposts, I think, usable, and being able to be kind of like a chess piece on a board, is that, to me, I really enjoyed that. And the same thing with the landmark outposts. Although some landmark outposts are not as great as others, we
Right.
some of them are kind of useless if you have some of the boons. You know what I mean? They're just rendered useless, but some are pretty good. You know what I mean? So that's my thought. I don't know, what are your thoughts on the outpost, my dude?
Well, I agree that um, the outpost made a bigger impression for me than the landmark outpost.
Okay.
To be honest, I think I've only used the landmark outpost once or twice. If you got the boons, you don't need it in meager.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I never used it in Trumbull. I never got around to using it,
It's
even though that
basically
may be one of the
it.
ones that you
Yeah.
that you would consider to be more useful.
It is, especially if you don't have the biochem
Yeah,
station, which is kind of difficult to get. Unless you get that vendor or you get that mission. It's hard to get that
right,
biochem station. With that map, you can actually fiddle with having all those special biochem consumables.
right. And the upgradable outposts that made it more flexible for the type of slots that you use in your bases. So yeah, I appreciated that. I thought that was a good implementation.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, so far, everything that they put out in 2021, in my opinion, was positive for the game. And we're gonna get to the one
Right.
that I was advocating for about 3 years, right, Bunny? We're gonna get to
Yeah.
the one now
Yeah.
that
That's
you
that's
know that
definitely next on the list.
that's next on the list. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because I made videos and me and you talked about it. And I remember playing other games that had the actual mechanic. And I said, why don't we don't have this in State of Decay? Why don't we have this in State of Decay? This is ridiculous. Remember? And that was called weapon
Yeah.
swapping. For all you guys that are coming into the game now, State of Decay, in order for you to switch out your weapons, you will have to go manually into your inventory and select a weapon. Kind of like when you swap out a heavy weapon. If you see me on stream swapping out a heavy weapon for a sword, that's how you had to do all the weapons. Like even the you had a now you have a sidearm and you have a main weapon, a primary weapon. You used to not have that. That's new. That's within the
Right.
last few months.
And you know how you can tell when a mechanic, a new mechanic that's implemented, how you can tell how important it is if you had to go back. If they took that away, how different it would affect the game and your gameplay. So that was
Hmm.
definitely an important thing.
It was actually to me, it was probably the most important change mechanically, in State of Decay. Like it was the biggest change because now you had options on the fly. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's so hard
Right.
to play, let's say, the harder difficulties, and you have to make split-second decisions. And if you got to dig through your backpack, or you have to find a higher elevation to, dig through your backpack, and it kind of breaks immersion, in my opinion, and it also kind of breaks the flow of the game. Somebody watching that, it's
Right.
like, you're like, man, what this clown doing, looking in the backpack in the middle of combat with 1,000 zombies on him? But I mean, that's what you had to do. There was no way around it.
Yeah.
So,
Anytime you got to bring up a UI, that's what it does. Yeah.
yep. So, what are your thoughts on
Now
weapon
you
swapping?
know that I guess the reason why they did that too, because that's a, I'm trying to remember the first game I played that put that aspect in there, like going through your backpack. Because in the older games, when you went in your inventory, it automatically paused the game for you. But then
Mm-hmm.
some genius came up with the idea that if you're playing a survival game, a zombie game, or something like that, when you go in your backpack, you need to still feel that sense of danger because that's how it would be in real life. So,
Mm-hmm.
but weapon wise, that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm glad they finally figured it out. I'm glad they finally listened to the community and gave us the option to do that on the fly.
Hell, I only made like 3 videos about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But give them
Oh man.
credit. They implemented it real good. So
No, they did. They did.
having it in there right now, it's like it was there from jump. So
Yeah.
it was one of the better things that they implemented seamlessly, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Most people, I mean, if they start playing today, they wouldn't even know that that was not a thing just a few months ago. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely, man. But it was definitely, to me, it was the game changer for 2021. So you know how I feel about it. The last one, the last big thing that we're going to talk about was Update 26, Trumbull Valley Homecoming, which is basically a remastered of the Trumbull Valley map. And we've had the Trumbull Valley map, sort of, kind of, most of it in Heartland, but this actually extended the map the way it used to be back in State of Decay 1. But the caveat to this was that I thought it was just going to be a map. I thought we're just going to get another
Right.
map
Thought that.
like Providence Ridge. When they started
Right.
showing the trailer and they show Isby, they show Chavez, they show all these people, like, wait a minute, are they going to be telling a story with this map? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when they
Yeah.
when it hit and I was able to test it, I was like, no way, man. They actually did what I wanted State of Decay 2 to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I first started playing State of Decay 2, that's what I wanted the experience to be. I want it to be like a continuation of a story where, I've spent time with these characters, so I'll have some kind of feeling. You know what I mean? Like you kind of invest yourself in some of these characters, like Lily Ritter and stuff like that, in the past, and you experience stuff in a game, and when it gets brought back, it kind of brings back that nostalgia feeling, right? When I played State of Decay 2, that was
Yeah.
missing. To me, State of Decay 2 was like an empty shell of State of Decay 1. And then Trumbull Valley came in, and they put all the story in, they put all that effort in. They fixed up, they touched up the map. And when the map is it's fantastic in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's still one of the better
Yeah,
looking
if
maps,
you can
hands down.
remember too, we kind of talked about that, and it might have been in a Prime Directive
Probably, yeah.
that I said that if they could add a little extra to the map, that would be great. If they could add story, that would be great. I wasn't sure they were gonna do that, but it was a wish,
Mhm.
and surprisingly, they did that.
They did.
I just I just got one complaint about the some characters that didn't make it.
Oh yeah, I know
From
which one.
Heartland, man.
I know.
That kind of hurt my heart.
I
Not to
know.
spoil anything for anybody who hasn't played it, but man,
Yeah, I know.
that kind
And
of hurt my heart that some
I
characters didn't make it.
I would say if they're gonna terminate characters, they should at least do it, kind of like they did Ray Santos. You know what I mean? If they're gonna I mean, the game's been out for a minute, Bunny. I'm not worrying about spoilers at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
If you don't know the story, Jesus, I mean, the game's been out for almost 5 months. So I mean, we could say, hey, the way they did Ray Santos, they gave you a story, and we all know kind of like the end point of Ray Santos. They did that character
right,
justice, but they didn't do your
exactly.
character justice. I don't know if you want to really reveal who that person is, but I know who he is. You just see
Yeah.
the landmark, and it's like, oh man, this sucks. So
And some of the other things they leave it, up in the air, like they don't really confirm if, but they make it sound like more than one person, met their demise
mm-hmm.
in that particular accident. So, who
Yes.
knows? We
Yeah,
don't
they
know
don't. We
at
don't
this
know.
point.
Yeah, we don't know if the main protagonists from Heartland are still around or not. They don't really say where they're at. So it's kind
Confirm.
of yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I mean, I would love to see some confirmation or some kind of, I don't like when they leave you open ended like that, but they do it for a reason. They do that
Yeah.
because if they want to
Well,
add
most
on
of
to
them
it
do it
later.
for a reason. Yeah.
If they want to add on, maybe we'll find out because they're gonna reworking the other maps and adding story
Right.
content to all the other maps. Maybe we'll find out something about those particular characters we don't hear nothing about in the future. Who knows? Um, that's just speculation, though. I'm not confirming anything, guys. You know what I'm saying? That was a big speculation. So that those, I mean, are those your thoughts on the update 26? You want to add something to it?
No, that's about it. I mean, it was definitely a good update. It was a surprise. It was nice to be back in Trumbull Valley. It was nice to have a little story. We even got a new character
Mm-hmm.
that had an important role. So it was a good thing. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Me too, man. It was definitely one of the bigger things besides weapon swapping that they added to a State of Decay 2, and it was a welcome surprise. So I think we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover in this particular review, Bunny. I want to thank you so much for jumping on and kind of co-hosting this with me. And I also want to throw out your channel out there. Bunndee Games does have a YouTube channel. We're gonna see if we can get him back on the saddle one of these days, and him bringing out some really nice content. He's put out some stuff in the past, in particular, that might be affecting our future here shortly. And you guys should go check his channel out. I'll leave it at that. Bunny, you got something you want to add before I close this out?
Well, I appreciate the invite. So, you know, when I kind of threw that out there, I wasn't sure if we were going to jump on it or not. But when we were talking, I was like, that's a good topic, to put out there and get people's opinions on it, how they feel about the big things, if they feel like Undead Labs delivered, for 2021, and get our opinions out there as well. But
Definitely.
yeah, I appreciate the invite, man.
I think they delivered and some, in my opinion. So I mean, I don't have any complaints whatsoever. When
Yeah.
it comes to that aspect. They said five to six big things. I think we got all five to six of them. So again, man, thank you so much. You guys have a great day or night. Light, love, and peace. Congrexes checking out.